Hey guys, we'll get started in just a few seconds. AR, why don't you try talking?
We're going to pretend this delay for 5 minutes was because of Mark's internet issues. We were just talking about stuff.
Yeah. Dev, why don't you try talking?
Terrible, terrible, utterly terrible things that no one will ever find out.
They can definitely hear you because I can see the audio bars, but we will let them confirm. Yeah, see, on my old monitor, I had the audio stuff disabled. That's why we never had an issue. You can't do that on DisplayPort for whatever reason. So I've disabled the audio stuff separately, but normally you would just go into the panel and just go, I don't want this video input to have anything to do with audio. And then as far as the computer's concerned, there's no speakers.
Ian says Dev's I'm waiting for him to follow that.
Dev
is good.
The way the audio is set up, it's not actually possible for them to only hear one of you.
Oh, okay.
We'll let him.
He's audible.
Yeah, we'll let him.
I can hear him.
We'll let him confirm. But the way I actually have everything set up, it is not actually possible for only one of you to come through if I can hear you. But we will let someone in the chat confirm.
That's a end feature that you're going to have to shell out on the Patreon for that.
To just have you muted?
Yeah. If you higher value subscribers can mute either Mark or me.
Oh, I didn't cut AR off. He stopped talking. Unless he's making it okay. They say they can hear all three of us, so
yeah, we're fine.
Yeah. Let me cough after muting here. Okay. You guys ready to go?
That was a preview if you subscribe.
Welcome to the podcast. We're here to entertain and inform a bit while talking about Digimon. I'm Mark, and I run WtW, and I have internet issues today, along with most of LA.
I'm AR Pulver, and for once I don't have internet issues today.
I'm DevQ, and my internet is questionable at any and all times.
Yeah, right around 6 or 5:55, internet went out in the greater Los Angeles area for most people who had Spectrum. Around 6:30, I'm like, well, 25 minutes, we'll see. At 6:40, I get a text from my brother who goes, they say it's not going to be up till 12:30, and my response to him is mine came up a minute ago. And I haven't heard from him since, so we'll see. It was minutes away from just going, nope, we'll have to figure that out. So if the show ends early with no warning, internet's gone.
I'm just going to go wander off and cook food.
I was going to say I would sing the hum the Monty Python intermission music, but I'd go down too since you're carrying the load here.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't have done, say, I don't know what the term is for when you hook up the computer to the phone for internet. Tethering.
Dongle?
Because there was so much internet being done to the phone in the area, I was only getting 1 megabyte upload. Which, even tethering, that would not have worked.
Yeah.
How has everyone's week been?
Been okay? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been nicely calm.
We spent the day, I didn't work today, but I spent it cleaning and had a doctor's appointment, so I don't know if that's better.
I depression napped until 3 p.m.
Oh, I love a good depression nap.
Yeah, I think I did that yesterday, where it's just sit on couch, nap, nothing getting done.
Good times. Good times.
And we're talking about episode 37, Mimi-chan Wars.
Speaking of good times.
Can we just talk about how much everyone has liked the title? Everything else aside, the title's just great.
Mimi-chan Wars. It strikes me as Sakura Wars for some reason.
I kept thinking about I 100% completely lost my. Oh, it kept reminding me of Summer Wars.
Summer Wars. That's
Like,
another one.
yeah, I
Yeah.
kept trying to like think of a Summer War, Mimi Chan War episode title pun, and the one I went for is much lazier than that.
Hmm.
But yeah, generally everyone liked the episode. Ironically, a lot of complaints from people who generally have liked the week-to-week action. Like a lot of people are like, "Ugh, filler."
Well,
But it
isn't
was
that to be?
delightful.
Yeah, you were warning us about that. That
Yeah.
once they stop with the week-to-week action, the people who've
No,
been
I know,
enjoying that
but
are going to
still,
think it's gonna.
it's such an enjoyable episode that I almost forgot that, and then it's like, oh, and like people, number of
Yeah,
people
it's like
were like,
right. You've warned us for weeks that people are going to bitch about an episode like
yeah,
this.
and I kind of forgot about it because I watch it and it's such a pleasant episode that falls more to my likes of shows in general that I kind of forgot my own warning.
Yeah.
So then when it happened, it was like, oh yeah, a good chunk of people were 100% happy getting wall to wall action. While I mean, what we 100%
I mean,
wanted
really,
this. We
really it's
100%
the
wanted this.
people who have been primarily happy with the way the show's been so
Yeah.
far are going to be disappointed with an episode like this because it's a departure from what the show's been so far.
Yeah.
Which I can't ignore when I'm discussing it. Like that's more a reflection of what the show's been so far than this one.
And that really is where it gets strange in that for once we're happy, but I probably Dev less than you and me. I assume you did also see quite a few people who honestly weren't happy with this as much as we were.
Me or
you? Because Dev doesn't
every?
look at social media
Oh
quite
no,
as much.
everybody I've seen on social media love this episode.
Oh, so is everyone just tagging you and being positive?
No. Well, no. I mean, I see I see on my timeline that people who are generally grousing about the series have been coming. They enjoyed this episode, and I've seen a lot of people who have given up on the series, going, so you're saying I should check this one out?
Yeah,
And they will go and check this one out, even though they
I
haven't
would
watched
say
for
no.
the last.
See, I would say
go,
no.
Hey, this episode was great.
See, I would say no in that case because if you're out, I would never jump back in because there's one episode that I might find enjoyable.
It's at that point.
Well, you're also
for a lot
really
of people.
busy, so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people have just, they're just they've just been done with the show, and they have been for weeks. But it's like Mimi being her fun self. It's like, sure, I'll go ahead and check out this episode.
As much as people have said they've left, I don't think most of the people complaining actually have, because I've seen just as much energy.
Oh,
week
the
to
people
week.
the people complaining, sure, but some people have just stopped talking about it.
Oh, sure, but that happens with every show.
I mean, and I've had, I have a few people who have been following the show following Digimon pretty religiously for a long time that have said, nope, I'm kind of done with the show. And then, people start talking, they hear about this episode and go, okay, I'll check this one out. And I straight up said to someone, like, they're asking, so you're saying I should check this one out? I'm like, yes, but don't feel like you need to catch up with the previous 5 episodes. Just watch this one.
Yeah, so this episode starts interesting. It starts off effectively where we left off, and then while going for food, Taichi and Agumon end up on a log. And can we just say Sora kind of does the dumbest thing I think we've actually seen her do in the show? She just goes, "I'll help," jumps on the log, and then sort of just looks at Piyomon to do something, and Piyomon's too tired from trying to catch up to do anything. Sora had Sora's entire plan was literally just jump there and then tell Piyomon to deal with it.
Yeah, that's different. It's like, okay, random idiocy from Sora it's a look. I don't know how consistent it is. I don't really care. It was fun. It's
Looks
novel.
like she gave up custody of the single team brain cell.
Well, I mean, it does worry me in the sense that it's like, is this sort of what Sora's been pigeonholed into, is to the person who's going to rescue Taichi when he becomes, when he gets all Taichi and does something stupid? Is that going to be Sora's sole purpose in the series, is to bail him out of these jams? Is that what she sees herself as? Because I don't like that aspect of. I don't like that implication. But
I saw it
if
more
she's going to
as
be
her
doing
being,
random stupid things, I'm all for it.
I saw it more as her deciding she was going to be action person and that she could jump in and help. And then once she was there, she's like, Biomon! And
Yeah.
Biomon's just,
Yeah.
you can't.
What do you want from me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got a small interstitial partway through the episode, so let's go ahead and talk about that now, since that was quick, which is Commandamon, Koshiro, Takaru, Hikari, and their Digimon going down the river, and all of a sudden they realize, that's weird, we're kind of listling off to the side. And Tentomon and Patamon checking Commandamon is asleep at the wheel. And they sort of start yelling at him as he's sleeping, and that was great.
Sleeping while running. That's the fun part.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost easy to forget he's running because of, I think, have we seen his feet exactly once, I think?
We've seen his
when he was
feet from
jumping off of his
below,
cliff.
yeah, when he was jumping.
Yeah. So the rest of the episode is Mimi Central.
Yeah.
And actually follows up on all the Mimi stuff we saw. Which is
It's like,
strange.
oh, that makes sense in hindsight.
Mostly.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, like the Fight Club, they explain it, but it's sort of a stretch in the sense of
she was Masaruing right there, is what they were doing.
Yeah. So Mimi,
which I think wasn't far off from my original guess. I forgot. I don't know if I said that on the podcast, but I was wondering if that was less Fight Club and more a Masaru situation.
It doesn't really count as Masaru's situation because she wasn't doing anything. Togemon was fighting. She was just standing there yelling.
Togemon was Masaruing. They're connected.
So
they have a bond. Mark.
So what you're saying is you like every time Taichi and Greymon rush into battle together because it's just like Masaru and Geo Greymon.
No, I like it's more a reference to them punching each other and gaining a respect for each other and nodding and saying, yeah, come on, let's get this. I've been in this game a while. You need to understand the Marcus code here. You got to read my Savers reviews for to understand the Marcus code.
If someone wants me to read his Savers reviews, we have a Patreon and you can donate to it and tell me to read all of his Savers writings. Because that's
another perk for Patreon subscribers. I'm just happy I got to mention the Marcus code again after all these years. I haven't mentioned that thing since Cross Wars.
Yeah. So Mimi's plan is she's going to go save the Digimon who are being forced to dig up the gems. And the one thing I like is as much she did talk about, how it has to be like friendship, she also was like very enamored with the gems to the point that very often you kind of are staring going, Mimi, do you remember why you're actually doing this?
Yeah, that's important too, because if she's just go off and doing, and these are my business ethics and you need to enforce them, it's a little
that
over the
different.
top.
Yeah.
But the fact that she's also going, and also these gems are very pretty, and I want them.
And I want to name them. And
at least she's honest with herself.
And she specifically is clever enough that she knows the diamond's going to be the best, so she waits to name that one after herself.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, the diamonds are the ones that get the best names.
And I just have to say, I'm very pleased with how constantly she's going over these plans that don't necessarily make sense, and you have Golemon and the Gatsumon, her various henchmen are just like, yes, this all makes perfect sense. This will all work. And then camera pans over to show Taichi and Sora, they have the little drop bubble just going, this doesn't really make sense.
Like, this is a really dumb plan.
Yeah, and then in the middle of it, Mimi runs off, Plan B! And everyone's just like...
Yeah, and it changes the plan in the middle of it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, did you tell us about this Plan B?
Yeah, and her plan... yeah. And Palmon was writing Golemon, which felt like a weird, nice touch thing. So we got to see Gogmamon. I always say his name wrong, but I think I got it that time. Correct?
Yeah.
I feel like...
You actually cut out right there, so I didn't hear you try to say Gogmamon.
Well, Dev said I got it correctly, so I'm going with that.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people were very surprised we did not see Blastmon.
It felt like it was moving towards like an evolution because a lot of the episodes, like, oh, there's this big bad, we kind of beat him. Oh shit, he's evolving.
I'm glad they didn't do that, though. That would have been a little much. Like, this was just a silly, fun
Yeah.
episode. They didn't need to push up. They didn't. I'm glad they didn't try to escalate the action more than they needed to, which
Yeah, that
has
was
been an
nice.
issue all series long. It's like, this is okay. He has a form. They beat the form. That's all you need. You don't need to go any further. Because
And
if he does become Blastmon, then Lilymon's really going to have a problem beating it, and I don't want to have War Greymon having to bail her out.
Yeah,
Although
and
it would have been an opportunity for Rosemon, I feel, if they went with that.
yeah, I feel like
expecting her to go second would be really
Yeah.
stretching it. If they weren't going to do Hercules last episode, they weren't going to do Rosemon
Yeah.
this one.
So we get the Diamond blasted at Gogmamon, which not quite shatters him, but breaks him enough that then Lilymon can do her new giant drill move,
Mm-hmm.
which was relatively impressive. Most people seemed quite happy with it.
I hope the gems are still salvageable after being buried under those layers of.
It
Just
feels
scrape
like
up
they
the
are.
wall.
And
I
then
would
it was
hope so.
funny, like, Mimi's leaving, so the acting president of Mimi Corporation is Golemon.
I wish they would have gone with like senior vice president in the translation. You know, that did give him a nice corporate term instead of acting president.
And you have to wonder now if they've set us up for that. We'll get like a Mimi employee number 100, and it'll be something.
I want it to be Joe.
See, I want it to be Andromon. I'm not sure I trust the show to be able to make that connection.
Yeah, I was wondering what the. I assume that most of the numbers between Sora and Golemon were the Gatsumon,
Yeah.
but I really wanted her to like sneak in, like, yeah, number 79 was Gardramon. Didn't mention that before, but
yeah. And then, yeah, it's weird. Most of this episode was fun, so it feels like there's not much to talk about because most of it is kind of fun where you have to kind of watch it on your own. Otherwise, you're just telling the jokes.
yeah, like you can give this one a lot of leeway because this is what's so fun about this episode is this is a story concept. This trope of these enslaved Digimon having to work for this one bully. That's done like every season, and it's always mediocre.
I mean, to be fair, that's not even a Digimon thing. That's a pretty standard story plot, which is
sure.
The heroes run into an enslaved, blah blah blah, and there's a small group, and they need to help.
But unless you want to count the Numamon in season 1, every story like that in Digimon is mediocre, and Mimi single-handedly makes this one entertaining.
Hey, this one had Volcano Oda in it, which automatically makes it better. And I like Mimi beat up Oda last time. This time,
I was gonna say, I think Ancient Volcanomon was in the one for Cross Wars, so he's got competition.
So yeah, and
one of the one Cross Wars did. They probably did like 8 of them.
Yeah, and now the weird thing is I actually wonder if we assume Joe, if the next episode, if we assume Joe's still around the hot spring, not necessarily in it, will Nannymon get his original actor back? Because that's who Gogmamon was. So it'll be interesting to see.
Just as much as Mimi made this episode, I really would have appreciated a little more attention for, we've seen enough of Taichi and Sora. I really wanted Mimi to have hired. I just think this would have been so much more fun if Mimi had hired Yamato and Joe instead, if they had swapped these episodes.
I don't think that could have worked because you really need to what's been going on with those two. I don't think you can have them just pop up.
No, I'm saying do whatever they're going to do next week.
Then
I'm saying do a swap. I'm saying that do the Yamato. Whatever happens next week with Yamato and Joe, do that this week, and then next week
I thought you meant swap the characters.
Oh no.
Okay. Yeah, that would have been interesting, but I think it feels like you need it to be Taichi and Sora because he may not give her the leeway to do this stuff. You know what I mean?
I don't think she cares. I think
Oh,
she's
I
doing it
don't.
anime.
Oh, she probably is, but
Yamato and Joe would push back more, and I would have been more entertained. Like
but
they
we
pushed back, and
we already had that
they'd
though.
push
We
they
had
pushed
that.
back on it. Yamato and that's against Sora, but
But
I
that's
don't
what I mean.
mind
It would have
Yamato
been
being
it
put
would
in
have been the exact same pushback though. I think setup wise.
Yeah, Mimi's would have been more fun though.
You're not wrong.
Like-
I just think it would have fallen into the they did this exact thing 16 episodes ago, 17 episodes, somewhere actually more like 25, I guess.
I don't even know if Yamato would be all that opposed to it now, because remember that his main opposition to helping was primarily because TK was still a question mark. Now that Takira
I
is
guess so.
secured, Yamato would be like, "I'm okay with the rescue mission. Why are you giving me a freaking number?"
Yeah. But don't worry, we get plenty of Yamato and Joe next week with the Blazing Blue Friendship. Gee, I wonder if we will see an evolution next week. Would anyone care to place bets?
You'd think so, but
yeah,
I
it's the
don't
weird
know.
thing. It's the weird thing where like logically the answer is yes, but also they're being very low key about it compared to say War Greymon.
After these
yes,
last,
like they put that
Yeah.
like right in the preview. It's like
Yeah.
War Greymon's ass front and center.
But
after this last stretch, like you'd assume that Metal Gurumon would be second, but after the last stretch of episodes, it's really hard to picture Yamato as being the second character. You know, the deuteragonist.
He's the
of
other
this.
main character. He just happens to not be around.
That's the thing. It's like being the other main. You know, he is the other main character. It just doesn't feel like that right now.
You know what it really is, and this is weird because we actually talked about this separately. It is almost Kizuna, where it really is the Taichi show, and they decided Yamato had to have an actual part in it.
Mm-hmm.
But his part's off to the side, which we actually know that was the intention with Kizuna was that it was going to be just Taichi.
Yeah, but at the same time, Yamato in Kizuna at least does feel like the second character.
But he's off doing it by himself, and just occasionally popping in. That's what he's doing here.
Every episode.
Yeah, that's fine, and that's okay. It's just that at the end of the day, you know, when you have billing, there's a very clear 1 and 2 in that movie. Right now, you know, you look at the last 5 episodes.
I'd say Sora is probably number 2.
Honestly, I think it's Tailmon, but you're probably right. Yeah, I'll give you Sora.
Yeah,
I'd say like if we're being objective here, it's honestly Tailmon, but
at the moment I would say as far as the kids.
That's just me.
Overall, it would be Taichi, Sora, Hikari, Takeru, Mimi, Yamato, Joe, and I forgot Koshiro, who I would put
in the middle. Yeah.
I would put behind Takeru probably.
Mm-hmm.
My mind, I was sitting there going, I'm going to put Koshiro right here, and then I went right past and didn't realize until I was like right done.
We've wanted to forget Koshiro existed for the last 6 episodes, let's be real.
Nah, I was pretty happy with his role in the last one, to be honest. As much as that episode was not good, his role in it worked decently well for me. And we'll see what happens next week. But yeah, I'm happy with this episode. We need more stupid episodes where nothing happens, where it is just fun characters kind of sitting around, throw in 1.5 battles. I think we'd all be relatively happy if we got roughly something like this for 15 episodes.
Yeah. This is, I'm not going to deny that this isn't filler, but this is as good as filler gets, and you have to appreciate it.
See, I'm not sure it is filler because they've had someone rejoin. That is a relevant character beat. It may not be as much of a beat as someone wants, but it's also as much of a beat as the show gives us. So
yeah,
it's not really filler.
Yeah, the definition of filler is really tough, but like episodes where not a lot of things happen are
but I'd say
pretty close compared to.
But I'd say important things did happen.
Drive the main plot.
characters have been separated and they've met up with someone else. To me, that actually is important, even if the episode itself is light and fluffy.
Look, you're talking to someone who doesn't necessarily consider it an important episode if there's a new evolution. So that's my standards are high.
No, see, that's just you telling us that you're wrong. So moving on from Adventure, which will be back. Well, not quite moving on from Adventure, but close enough. Anime Japan 2021. They were gonna try to do it in person this year and online. They decided nope, just online. But hey, we get Taichi as part of the key art, which I think the last time Digimon showed up in the key art was Try back in 2018, I think.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So we get Taichi with the Anime Japan shirt, and he looks a bit too happy, if I'm being honest. Although at least
God,
the
I want to
art.
go to a convention.
Yeah.
I know,
so,
right?
So there'll be a few products. There'll be a can badge and an acrylic stand. Can badge, I don't care. I kind of want the acrylic stand. The problem with me, the smile bothers me on this one, if I'm being completely honest. It's too much.
It's not organic.
No.
He's trying to be. He's
It's like
pretending
telling
to be
a
way too
child to
excited.
say cheese.
Yeah.
Although I will say, at least it is where like you look at the face and you go, okay, this is new art, and then I look at say Conan on there, and I'm pretty sure I've seen that image of Conan 100 times.
They
Like,
just badly photoshopped the pink
no,
shirt on him.
like I'm sure that's newly drawn, but
It doesn't look like it.
no, that's what I mean. Like Taichi one, that's clearly new. So we'll see what pops up there because they are gonna have public streaming day. So we've gotten news there before, but not really expecting much because I think almost any time we've gotten news from Anime Japan, it's been from like a flyer. Like that's how we found out Atmon was going to be 52 episodes. Was it 52 or 54?
52.
Yeah, I think we found out from a flyer from Anime Japan. And I think that's also the last time we saw a Digi-Evolving Spirits display. When we saw the basically done Garudamon, wasn't it? I think that's where it was. Yeah. And
that
then
the Impmon, I think.
No, the Impmon
Was
we
it the
saw
same one?
at the Impmon we saw. I think it was at Digimon Thanksgiving, where the 1 year where they renamed DigiFest temporarily.
Okay, it was that then.
I believe it was there. Yeah, and so it's the first anniversary of Kizuna, and some stuff's happening. So first anniversary.
I can't believe it's only been a year.
Yeah, everyone's been like, everyone is either like it's only been a year or it can't have been a year. Like, and of course, if you saw it outside Japan, it's only been half a year about. But yeah, so let's go over this and then
it's also the only been a year thing is that they announced Kizuna like they teased Kizuna right at the end of Try, so they were, it feels like it's been a much longer process.
Yeah. So let's go over what they've said, and we'll be honest, both brutally and realistically, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm also pulling up what both me and AR have said elsewhere, just so that I have the proper information.
Yeah, I don't know what your sincere opinions on this are.
Oh, I'm gonna. So they're gonna do a stream on March 6th. That equates to roughly midnight Pacific for AR. That will be 2 a.m. I believe. And Dev, I never remember what time zone you're in.
Eastern.
I'm
so,
in Central.
So 3 a.m. So 3 a.m. for you.
Okay, good. So I don't have to watch it.
So March 6th is also the anniversary of the release of the first Adventure movie, and the day before Adventure began on television. So the stream's going to consist of 2 parts. The first is a new audio commentary, which they've said the stream will not be archived, so you have to watch it live, with 4 people who are going to give inside information on the movie. Tomohisa Taguchi, who's the director, Kenji Watanabe, who's Kenji Watanabe, Hiromi Seki, who was the producer for various older Digimon stuff, the supervisor for the new movie, and she's still been producer for a few of the recent audio dramas. And Yosuke Kinoshita, who's the producer for this, and was the producer for the last part of Try. When I say last part, I mean last two and a half.
Yeah.
So basically the last 2.
Okay.
So new commentary for the movie, And the way it's worded, it sounds like they're actually going to be doing it live. I assume they're not, and they just mean, oh, it's going to be a live stream, and I'm just misinterpreting that, so whatever. And then part 2, slightly different wording based on where you see it. There'll be a big announcement after the main story. There'll be an important announcement after delivery ends. Basically, after the commentary, there's going to be some sort of big important thing. So there's a lot to go over there, despite very little information. So first off, it is a new commentary. It's not the one from the disc, which stopped. It was I think it was Tomohisa Taguchi and Yosuke Kinoshita, I think, and only for the first half, and then it switches to cast members. This is new. It's the 4 of them. And then the thing everyone wants to talk about is part 2. Now, I'm not being cynical on this one because there's some evidence to suggest that it actually is bigger. And trying to think, the way to word this is, I understand, and I think AR's post was slightly purposefully cartoonishly cynical. I don't believe you were serious about that. Were you?
I mean, I said it was it was only a 20% chance of getting something new, but 20% is a lot higher than I would usually be for when they say big announcements. I'm usually like, okay, only a 5% chance of something actually big.
So I'm going to go over what you said, and then I'm going to go over what I said, and then we will talk about what we think is really going on, okay? AR, the answer was 10% was a new adventure movie. Then he did 10% an adventure : movie. And then 80% not a new anime thing.
Yeah. By that I mean it's not going to be a new production of a new
Now here's
anime.
the thing. Normally I would actually say that's accurate, except the middle one I think is kind of the middle one doesn't make sense based on what this is, I'll just say.
Okay.
If the top and bottom ones were as they were and you put something else in the middle, I would say fair enough. So my odds went a bit more longer in what I wrote. 50% Kizuna movie sequel. I think I'm very clear what I'm saying there. I'm not. There's no.
Yeah.
20%.
I mean, when I say new adventure movie, that pretty much is Kizuna sequels. Like, there's not really any other way you could go.
20% an expanded universe thing in some fashion. By that I mean they could do a sequel as a book. They could do an OVA, something where it is
or
something,
drama.
But it's not, or an audio drama, something, but it's not necessarily the thing we want. But it is something relevant. 10% 10% an extended or special movie version. Toei does do these. They've did them for various Dragon Ball movies where they'll go, oh, it's going to air on normal TV, but it's going to have an extra 5 or 10 minutes, and then that will be on Blu-ray later, or something like that.
That would make sense, and then they could add the new commentary to that disc.
Well, here's the thing. The beginning of the movie could just be the short.
Yeah.
And then add another few minutes in there, because there were a few things where even the director was like, yeah, we had to cut this for time, but, I would have liked to have it in there, and like, movie did well. Here's a bit of extra money to go do it.
Yeah.
Then
I would qualify.
That would make sense.
I would fall that under. I would still file that under not a new anime thing, but that would be a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, and then 10% is 4K disc.
Yeah, that's kind of where my money's on. Yeah, if we're being honest.
And then the only answer that I did half jokingly is my 5%. Booster Set 6 has the Digimon from Kizuna in it. Because technically speaking, they have not announced that. We have that information, but that has not been announced, as far as I know. I would
actually make that higher than 5%. But
promo card is in the 4K disc box.
I could see them doing that.
And then 5% I did other, which is, stuff that I haven't thought of or whatever.
I mean, really, the main reason I put those odds out there was the thing that is not in that is the 0% Tamer sequel.
No, see, here's the thing.
Really what
I think my 5% covers that fairly. Here's the thing. Do I expect Tamer sequel? No. Can I see I can actually see the logic behind making one, though. But it would have to happen right now. Are you ready for my logic? Kizuna did very well, and I don't think they were prepared for quite as well as it did. As much as people want to joke if it did, I don't think they were prepared for it because did well in
Okay.
Japan despite coronavirus, did well in China despite coronavirus.
Mhm.
Here, it only got outsold on Blu-ray by Hocus Pocus, which outsells everything at Halloween, and season 1 of Picard. It was third that week for Blu-ray.
Actually, another one that I wouldn't put high odds on, but I think should be on the list is another theatrical re-release.
See, that's kind of in my grouping under other because that would be such a quickie screening thing. I don't know how special. And yes, the problem is we wouldn't think it's special. They might, but
Yeah,
there's reasons to believe
yeah.
that's not it, and I will go into that after
Okay.
I go through my Tamers spiel about why you could actually get a Tamers thing now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything did much better than they were prepared for, and they have an adventure show running. Now, the adventure show may not be running 2 years from now when a movie might come out, but now could be the time where you go, okay, Tamer's anniversary, announce something and see how it does, just to see how well a non-adventure thing will do now that adventure has relit that flame multiple times at this point. Because here's the thing, try relit the flame, and the movie and the show and the card game made the flame roaring. So the brand is quote-unquote safe at the moment. So now is the time to see if something would work.
Okay.
So there actually is
give Tamers its try.
Yeah,
potentially.
Give Tamers a chance. That's because here's the thing: you would have to test with Tamers because what else would you test with?
Yeah.
Unless it's gonna be something. Unless it's gonna be just a random guest like the Tamer OVA.
Yeah.
Or like something mixed in, like a cameo with Vital Bracelet or some sort of tie-in.
Yes. So that's why I think you could do something Tamers right if you announce it right now and you say it will be out next year and a half, and say the show will still be running at the time, so you still have the marketing energy behind that. I think it's possible. Do I think it's likely? Not really, but I think it's a possibility at the moment.
Yeah, I'm still skeptical of that just because I don't know if they'd go with that because it would be after the current series is over, and that's what they would be potentially banking on next.
Here's the thing: we don't know that the show's ending. I know people think I'm joking when I say this. I don't believe that 66 number was an actual episode number. I believe it was a number being given to potential licensors just to show that it was not going to be a short show.
I'm still crossing my fingers thinking that somehow it's still going to end up only being 52.
I mean, Toei does not seem to be rushing out new product. I don't see much in the way of TV shows that they could replace it with at the moment that they've announced. They normally announce shows ahead of time, and then, when it gets closer, they'll go, and this is where it's going to air. But like, if you look at Dragon Quest started in September? We knew about that a year ahead of time. Adventure, we only knew about 3 months, but that was pretty short for a lot of stuff. I don't see anything coming up that they'd replace it with.
They can just milk it for as long as they want.
Yeah, would they actually consider extending the series on the fly if the original intention was to only be a certain number of episodes?
Certainly been done before, and the show...
You mean Adventure when they extended it from 13 to 54?
I think you mean from when they extended it to 52 to 54.
Yeah, that's 2 episodes.
Yeah, I know.
I would imagine.
The funny part is
I would imagine what we're talking about is giving it an extra cour or something.
But here's the thing. Think when the show hit. It hit pretty hard, even as much as we expected it might.
Yeah. It was also good in the initially.
But here's the thing. The people who were generally... a lot of people who were still happy then are still happy now. We're not. But I haven't seen any evidence that general... stuff if you look at Japanese social media when the episode airs, it almost breaks my Twitter client trying to keep up.
I'm interested what the buzz is compared to what it was when it premiered.
Most people are excited, and you still get new characters trending. Like Blitz Greymon blew up.
Okay.
And Blitz Greymon,
Yeah,
to us, like, here's the thing. We were all like, oh, Blitz Greymon, that's neat. But it didn't really show up in a way that was super exciting.
Yeah. I'm
Japanese Twitter
wondering.
was like, oh, shit, Blitz Greymon, Blitz Greymon. But yeah.
Simps.
They're excitable.
So let's get back to this, though. Unless you had did you have one more thing to add, AR?
I don't think so.
Okay. So why I'm not the negative one, but I'm generally the realist when it comes to it, both because been a fan for a very long time, more so since I'm in the industry. Why would I be? I don't generally do the leaps of faith. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I'm generally the realist when it comes to this stuff. So why would I put the movie so high? There's no reason for Taguchi to be there. He's an in-demand director. He's doing other stuff. Why is he stopping to do a commentary for a movie that came out a year ago and a commentary that they're not putting? There's no reason for him to be there. Like, if it was Kenji Watanabe and Kinoshita, you go, okay, they're celebrating with two people who are around. They are there. If it was Seki Hiromi and Kinoshita, you could go, they both work for Toei. It's just the it's the old producer and the new producer commentary. There's no reason for Taguchi to be there. Why is he randomly doing a commentary for a movie that came out a year ago that's been on home video for? There's no reason for it. That's the thing that stands out to me.
New stuff.
But you get what I mean, right? The other three I can understand being there. There's no reason for him to. That tells me something's going on. I don't know what. Something's going on that isn't quite as stupid as often the big announcements are. So I think, well, I'm not saying it's a new movie. I think it's something that we will see as relevant. Now, that 5% could be something really fucking stupid. It could be Digimon Survives Now a Kizuna sequel game. Like, it could be something stupid, but I believe it will be something mostly relevant. That's my guess, honest guess, is I don't understand why he's there if it's going to be the kind of we're not expecting anything thing that happens. And when those happen, they're generally marketing streams. What is this for? They're doing a commentary stream 2 years after the 1 year anniversary. Why is this happening? That tells me that something's up.
Well, we'll find out soon anyway.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm not quite as convinced by that, but I mean,
to be clear,
it definitely. I mean, it certainly could be something.
Yeah,
like,
to be
I
clear,
don't think any of us
the
is
reason I
completely
give
dismissing the possibility.
Yeah, and to be fair, even if you look at my percentages for new movie, that's a coin flip, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not saying it's a new movie, freak out. I think it's a better odd for something like that than we normally would give it, is the way I would put it. So we'll see.
That would be if that is a new movie, that'd be very interesting to see how they market that side by side with the new series.
But here's the
especially
thing.
Especially because Kizuna's good.
Well, the thing is if you do it at the actual budget and schedule Kizuna had, then even the show now, that's 2 years from now. That could be a show running for 2 years and ending. The show could be easily done by then, even if it's an ongoing show.
Mm-hmm. And it would be, and what I said about banking on a Tamers movie to follow up the new series, banking on a new Kizuna movie to follow up the new series is far safer.
Yes, but I still think if you're going to try to do something different, now would be the time to do it, because you have the show to fall back on.
I'm always in favor of different, and I've made that pretty clear through my criticism of the new series.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to AR's beloved different, we have Vital Bracelet news. That's certainly kind of different. I'm not sure. Yeah. So
I'm totally this is.
Yeah. So
this is closer to what I'm kind of hoping for.
So from the V Jump, we found the old classic style Jogress is back. So to get Kadudimon, you Jogress. Their example is Paledramon and why do I never remember Shootmon? I never remember his name. they are not saying you have to have those two specific Digimon. They're saying you have to have Digimon at that level with certain things, and then they joggers together to make Kadudimon. Because some people were worried, like, well, some people were worried, like, but you can't get the Vmon one. It's only, yeah, that is not where you need those two Digimon. You do need the Agumon and Gabumon ones to get Omegamon, though. That's a case where you have to have two specific Digimon from specific sources. And I actually like that to do, at least in this case, they come together, so it's happening. And they show
it's
off.
not, oh crap, you couldn't get one
Yeah.
of the others.
Yeah.
They come together. If you want it, that's not going to be hard to do. V-Jump did 2 more preview videos. They show off the versus memory and, showing you a battle and everything, which I don't know if I like it or if it looks cheaper than I expected. I don't know what I was expecting, though, to be quite honest. I kind of like that the profile artwork pops up, but it's so different from the sprites that it almost has a bit of dissonance to it. So I don't know. And then the last video, they show off how it reacts when you're exercising using NFC. They made that poor guy run around in the conference room. And then we got part of a catalog sheet showing off 2 new dim cards, Infinite Tide and Titan of Dust, with Marine Chimeramon, and oh look, it's Gogmamon.
How about that?
Surprise!
Yeah. So a few other familiar faces showing up in the sheet, so we'll see more of that very soon. And then for the weird one, they show off people, quote unquote, using the Vital Bracelet in everyday clothing. So we
Honestly,
have,
this looks like a Uniqlo ad.
yeah. So we have guy in sporty red jacket doing band cover pose. We have businessman.
I like the one with the sleeves at his sides.
Yeah. Then we have businessman looking thoughtful, having coat over jacket, and then we have then we have woman looking at dim cards, slightly confused and about to chew on pillow for some reason. I don't understand that.
Nom.
And then we have, is that the same guy as in the red one, or is that a different guy? It's hard to tell with some of the photos. I think that's a different guy. Then we have a guy in a sports coat with a hat in one photo posing.
He's also in the boy band.
Yeah, and then it shows only
he's,
3 of...
He's the naughty one.
Yeah.
He's the bad boy of the group.
And then we get to see people using the NFC reader while entering a room, but oddly it only shows 3 of them. The last 2 photos are of the business guy. Why doesn't sporty guy get a why doesn't sporty Vital Bracelet advertising guy get a photo?
He knows why.
But yeah,
he doesn't actually move around. It's just an act.
Yeah, and that's not quite it for the Vital Bracelet, because we got DigiNavi headline news yesterday. That was yesterday, right? I think I fell asleep like right as they put it up. So, we got Sakito, who's the development guy in charge, showing off. He shows off the app. The app we finally have a name for, the Vital Bracelet Lab. App looks about what you'd expect. We've kind of seen bits of it before. They also confirm the deep secret that no one knew, that if you have both of the trial dim cards they've announced, you can get Omegamon Zwart. Aren't we all shocked? Although I believe I think they actually mentioned Zwart before, I feel like. They didn't show him, but they said, they kind of were like, if you get both of them, who might appear? If you get Black War Greymon and Metal Grumon Black, whoever could it be?
Gee, I wonder.
Yeah, and then in the most of DigiNavi we're not going over this week because most of it's stuff we knew. And then they show off 2 Digimon in the anime section. We get Mephismon, who shows up next week, and Tropiamon, who we don't know when he shows up. Soon, probably.
I am super excited for Tropiamon because I love all of
that
entire VBit.
Yeah. And Mephismon looks very Mephismon-like.
Yeah.
I swear, I think it's
Yeah,
like
that
the
was
same
I,
exact clip art they use for the Tamers movie.
I assume it was.
Oh
to be
man.
honest.
Yeah, I saw that in the preview. I'm like, oh, it's Mephismon. Okay. That's nice.
That is a very creepy goat noise, Dev.
That was a pretty good one.
Yeah, it
Not
was
from
really
Tom.
good. And now for the most
Thank you.
important news. It's time for a new poll, and this time they've smartened up and are not letting you choose whatever you want.
Speaking of being weird.
No, see, here's the funny part. They're like, I'm so glad they're letting us choose who will be added. It's like, no, they're not.
No.
They're letting you choose the order.
No, they're
Choose
letting
who
you
goes
choose the first one. And here's the thing, like this is where you get the quote unquote clever marketing where everyone's like very excited that they get a part in it when really you don't. These are the 4 they're gonna do.
Yeah.
We just get to pick the one that shows up first, but we're still getting the exact same guys.
This is
So-
like a weird twisted which Hogwarts house are you quiz.
So we get Ko Dokugumon, who's the baby 2 form of Dokugumon that showed up in the original Digimon Adventure.
Okay, so for Yep.
Then we get Black Seraphimon, who I think everyone went, wait, he's not there? Because that
Right?
feels like one that would be there, don't you think?
Yeah.
Well, considering how much like official art he has, you'd
Yeah.
think he would have been already, but no.
Mhm.
No.
He was sort
Then-
of imagery of him sort of appeared in the new series too.
Then we get the one where this happens every once in a while where I decide to go with a name that makes sense and people get very upset that I'm not using whatever was used somewhere else. Because I think Wikimon calls him Skumon Dio, which that's the name.
Yeah.
But if you translate that, I'm going with Great King Sukumon. Because it has the puffery, the translation makes sense, and it has the puffery that you get from where it's just a Sukumon with a crown.
So this is the
Yep.
this is for the
A
house
huge
of
piece of shit.
the house of PlayStation
Yes.
Digimon World fans.
And then Yo-Yo-Mon from the
This is-
Digimon window, and I think he got one piece of social art a while, and I think that's the image they're using of him, isn't it?
This
Yeah.
is the house of this one
Yeah.
looks weird. I'm voting for it. This is the house I belong in. I would vote for Yo-Yo.
Okay, so let's all be honest. Ignoring the obvious joke, who do you think will win? I feel like it
I
either
think it's gonna be Black Seraphimon.
it's either Black
Same,
Seraphimon or
especially
Great King
because-
Sukumon. I think just like having the Sukumon with the crown might get people going, well, they're all going to show up anyways. I want to see Sukumon first.
I think that if disgruntled fan colonies are going to try to upset the vote, they're obviously going to steer it towards that guy.
No, see, I can see a lot of people voting for him legitimately. Like, just
Oh
going,
no, I do too, but like I said, that's the PlayStation fans, but no, if some group says, you know what, we
No,
want to upset
see,
the balance here, we're going to make
see,
sure this guy wins.
I don't think it can be him. I think if it's groups that want to prove they're doing it, you have to go with someone like Kojo Kugumon. Because
There's the
'cause here's
ultimate
the thing.
answer is there's no way that you're going to be able to demonstrate that because all 4 have reasons to vote for it.
But here's the thing. I think the last 3 are ones that you can look at and go, oh, I'm fucking voting for this guy. Yo-Yo-Mon, the Sukumon, Black Seraphimon. I think Kojo Kugumon's the only one where it's relatively easy to look at and go, not voting for him.
And I think that applies to the to any
Dare you not
groups.
vote for my favorite?
I think that applies to groups too. I don't see a lot of groups going, yeah, this guy, whatever.
No, but that's my point.
I don't think they're gonna. I don't see any conspiracies trying to help out Koto Kugumon either.
I know, but that's the only one where they can then argue they had something to do with it. And
I didn't say these conspiracy groups were smart.
Okay, fair. Yes, fair enough. I forgot to take into account intelligence.
Yeah,
So fair enough.
it's important.
And then we have card game. So we have everything from Booster Set 5 this time, minus some parallel cards, which the parallel cards this time go very heavy on Versus and Omegamon, which isn't shocking. In fact, there's an Omegamon, I believe, on every parallel card or parallel card duo. You literally cannot escape him. Like even if you get one of the 2 Chaos Dukemon parallel cards, you have Omegamon on it even if you only get the 1 card. Because you get a bit of the sword on the one, and you get a bit of the Metal Groomon Black on the other.
God, the cards look so fucking gorgeous.
Also, this is a dumb question. The Kenji Watanabe panorama. Has Omegamon Zwart always had like the weird version of the Crest of Courage on his arm? Where it's like not really the Crest of Courage, but like, because with Black War Greymon, it's normally the Crest of Courage if they're reusing something, or it's blank. I don't think I've seen that version of the. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen that before, so I'm kind of like, huh. Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting details on the cards, I have to say. Like, that's one that I sort of didn't pay attention to because I was putting up everything. Huh. Be very interested to see that in more detail and then to look around and see if we've ever seen that before. Then we have a few interesting updates. So, in the English card game, they've made a errata correction for what is a delicate plan. I'm looking at the damn image and I'm looking at the text I have rather than looking at the card. A delicate plan, it's not any card, it's any option card. And then for both versions of the card game, they're altering the way 3 cards work for tournament play. The Argumon card, along with the Parallel card, and Hidden Potential Discovered, you can only use 1 each in a tournament legal deck. I like how they included the Parallel card, even though it doesn't exist in the English stuff yet. I think it's just a nice touch to include it.
Yeah, they may get there eventually. So.
Oh, I'm sure they will. It's just nice for it to be included.
Just wanna cover their bases.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they have to do another one later.
Yeah. And the chain of stores.
Or I suppose just print it correctly to begin with.
Yeah. And the Tsutaya chain of stores, if you buy 6 booster packs, you get a little like paper cardboard deck holder using the first 3 booster set art. I actually like these. I'm kind of sad that whenever I see the term paper, I'm like, oh, these are gonna be like cheap. And yeah, I know they're a bonus for buying 6 booster packs, but they look so nice.
I mean, it would be nice if they offered them like you could buy them, but
from
they'd
Premium
be like
Bandai,
hard
but
plastic.
Like, yeah, that'd be nice. Fun Digica showed off, secret rares, which are secret rares are fun this time. It's Defeat, which we knew, and X, which we knew, but no one noticed except like me and 3 other people. What was funny was I teased that there was a Digimon no one had noticed, and it feels like very few people noticed in the it was an episode of Road to Digimon Card Master like 3 or 4 weeks ago. You can see his cape from the parallel card, from the old Asmaria art. And that is I like that they're doing another. We need more of those parallel cards where it's the old card like brought into the new card game. I like those.
Yes.
Yep, but yeah, they were kind of dicks where that's actually was right in front of everyone's face for a few weeks. They just covered most of it so you could only see part of the frame and the left side with the cape, but you could tell it was one of the old cards. So yeah, that was interesting. Card battles continuing the round robin stuff. They really need to subtitle these, and this is where they showed off the card, the parallel card for that. And we also got to see Gladymon. I don't know why everyone's been so fucking amused by him battling Skull Knightmon.
He's a round boy.
Yeah, it's fun. Not much to go over with Digimon in V-Jump because much of it went over other places, but Omegamon X in Rearise, and then they went over, the Blu-ray boxes and Tailmon and Angelmon in Adventure. Not much to go over there, but it does. And then model kit stuff. So Mugenjamon's March 20th in Japan, so a month away, and they finally announced Metal Grumon Black for Japan, and it's a premium Bandai release, which I think we all basically guessed
Guess
that.
that, yeah.
The nice thing though is instead of the CGI render, we get a prototype. The colors are much nicer. They're
very
much
crisp.
yeah. I think I used basically the same word because they're bolder, they're crisper, and they're more pleasant to look at. Like it stands out much more than the renders. So I'm super happy with this.
Yeah, it's like a nice matte black.
I don't think many people will be importing this though, considering we've had pre-orders for 2 or 3 weeks at this point, or was it just last week? Pre-orders
about
exist.
Like 2 weeks or so.
Yeah. And then we get profile art. So we got the Blitzgramon art last week after the bunch of stuff. Then yesterday they showed off the guest Digimon, and then Kenshi Watanabe doing Mimi and the other highlights from the episode. And man, this is
the others.
Well, like
and her employees.
Because I didn't want to just say Sora and Taichi because they're all doing something like
Mimi and staff.
Yes, Sora and Taichi both just look. They have the numbers written on them, and they both have. I actually really like the Gatsumon design, I have to say, and the Greymon.
The Greymon is my favorite one.
Greymon just has this Greymon just has this this again.
He looks like how I feel.
And Pio and Bergermon just happy to be in the episode. Yeah, it's such good art. And it's like very different than what he normally does. So I'm just happy.
It's very silly and I love it.
Yeah. And then you guys can think of questions while we start off with the ones we have. What is an anime you'd recommend to Digimon fans to Digimon? It feels like we've gotten a lot like these lately, haven't we?
We've had this before, and
we've definitely had this question before.
We've had this question. So we've had basically the versions of this question before. I think last time I recommended Astrolost in Space, even though I've never seen it. That one seems to have a vibe to me.
I'm going with Lamune. I think I said that a week or two ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's older, but My Hime.
Oh, that's an interesting choice. I don't know if I ever made a Digimon connection to it, but I really enjoyed it.
Digimon fans really fucking love that show.
Yeah.
I remember Digimon fans loved that show. I don't remember people liking the sequel though.
No, the sequel was bad.
Because the sequel was had nothing to do with the original aside from the characters.
Yeah.
But people love the first show.
Yeah, I don't know if that's that's not something I would immediately connect to being very similar to Digimon, but it does have a lot of crossover appeal. Like I really enjoyed My Hime. I can't think of any specific reason that why as a Digimon fan I would have enjoyed it too, but it's a good show.
I mean, good partner, relationship between a human and a terrifying abomination.
Yeah, everything kind of goes wild and insane in the end. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good recommendation.
And
I think the problem is when people say, "Oh, you like Digimon, why don't you check this show out?" I never do. So I keep remembering when 10, 15 years ago it was like, "Oh, you need to check out Den-O Coil," and I never did.
And then this wasn't quite a question, but I'm going to twist what he said into a question. Matthias basically points out that, if Tanaka wasn't part of a Team for a Tamer sequel, he wouldn't want it to happen. How would we feel about him? Here's the thing. We saw his pitch for New Thing, and it wasn't really that tamery, to be honest.
It wasn't, but the thing is, it's doing that. I think you're kind of stuck at least advancing it. If you're going to do another Tamers thing.
I don't know. I think part of the issue is a lot of what people liked about Tamers wasn't actually him. People love the Impmon stuff, and a lot of that wasn't him. He admits it wasn't him.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that more people would feel unsettled by Konaka not being a part of Tamers even more than others,
So
even more
you're
than like
okay.
Kakuto being connected to Adventure.
So you're basically saying that it isn't even necessarily about his story or plot. You just need his stamp of approval
Kind
because of
of,
how
yeah.
much he's
I think
associated with it, basically.
I think so. I think that's
Fair
really
enough.
important for Tamers fans.
Fair enough.
And yeah, and I think that when you release that, that audio, that sort of implies that that's where, that's sort of the
See, and
vision
that
for the
here's the
future
thing.
of Tamers.
That may be why they said no, to be honest.
Oh, possibly.
That
Very possibly.
he put them in that position when they were giving him
Sure.
money to do something for fun.
Sure.
That may
That's
be
fine. And
why he got a no.
yeah, that's very possible. But
Yeah.
I think that if they were to revisit Tamers, I think you kind of have to at least explore that a little more. You can explore it better. I think there are ways to do that. But yeah,
Maybe.
I think, yeah, that's why I'm still really pessimistic about a Tamers follow-up.
Yeah. Although he did link to it on streaming a week or so ago. The same service that we were talking about, in fact.
Mm.
Ramon wants to know, would you want to work for Mimi's Gem Company? No!
No.
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 God, no.
Yeah. Like, Mimi's company is better than Gogbamon's kingdom, but it is not necessarily... Like, she just left it to Golemon, who... Does Golemon have any idea what he's doing?
I don't necessarily trust Golem. I think he got that phenomenon of overemployment until you're no longer qualified your position. I think that's what happened to Golemon here.
Yeah.
He's a good grunt. He's a good grunt. He's not a good executive.
Yeah. He just happened to be standing there when Mimi left. Who will be in charge? The tall one. Okay, so here's go. Someone wants to know, how did we meet each other? Now, I think I know all of these, so I want to go first, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I believe Victor was going to take a break for his wedding. I went, I need to find some guest hosts on Twitter, and then I got a response, those like waving hand from AR.
Yeah, that's basically, it's like, I can do it.
I believe AR and Dev met when it was a few minutes before the podcast started. I went, so Dev's here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
He knew she was coming, but
I'm sure we've interacted on Discord before, but that was the first formal time we've actually spoken to each other.
It's like when the way we met. I'm sure we interacted somewhere before. I certainly don't remember it though.
Yeah.
As for me and Dev, I honestly don't fucking remember. It's been a very long time. Dev, do you remember how we met?
Not at fucking all.
Yeah, neither do I. It's like I once actually went and tried to go through like an old AIM log that I had, and we were just talking in like 2011, 2010, 2009. Wherever it is, it's so far back that nothing of it exists anymore. So
this is the problem, is that I never got a chance to meet anybody, in the formative years of WtW, because that was when I was kind of receding from the fandom a little bit. The first time I ever heard about WtW was like in 2010 when I stumbled upon a forum thread about best fanfiction authors, and a few people mentioned me.
Yeah, because remember, I only started running it in 2006. And Favors ended shortly after. Data Squad, we helped pick the cast, was the fun thing we did back then. And then until Cross Wars started, it was sort of there. But yeah, I have no memory of how I met Dev at all.
Well, you were still around when I was doing all the scanlating for V-Tamer.
That's the even weirder thing, is when after you join the podcast, is going back and checking out some V-Tamer and seeing your name in the credits. I'm like, oh my jeez.
Oh, you can
hilariously, that was an accident.
You can find me earlier than that.
Thread like, hey, Bondi had like a thread. It's like, hey, here's a little contest thing. Take this manga page and make it not look like shit. And I was really bored at 3 a.m, so I did. It's like, congrats, you're our new editor. What?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
knew. I mean, I knew Vandy was around for a while. Like
you
that.
can
Her
find
name I
me
wasn't
earlier than that.
expecting name.
In fact, if you look around, I'm the one who broke the news of X Evolution existing.
That was me. I
Like-
discovered the news to that when I found it on a torrent site. That's how I learned about X Evolution.
Yeah, but you don't pay attention.
Yeah, that's where I was at that point. I was just kind of away.
Okay, someone wants to know, when you guys talk about cheat answers to questions, what does that mean? That means we're giving an answer that's kind of no effort.
It's an easy answer that's also not very helpful.
Yeah, it's also it's sort of like the harem example was, like I think I said Tenchi, but that's a cheat, because if you're looking for harem anime, you're gonna find Tenchi.
Also, you said Tenchi for romance.
Yeah, but that's less cheating, though, I think. Cheating is also when we bring up answers that we did like the week before because we remember them.
Yeah.
Like my answer.
Or you pull up an answer because someone mentioned something similar that reminded us of it.
Basically, it's when you're giving an answer that isn't necessarily unhelpful, but it's no real actual effort or thought into it.
Which is sometimes what you have to do, because some of these, I mean, I don't get the questions till like 3 hours before the podcast, and so I don't always have time to come up with thoughtful answers.
That's actually rather rare. Most of the time, you have them the night before. You're asleep at the time. The questions are generally up before you two are awake.
Are they? Usually when I've checked
normally
the notes recently,
they are.
The questions aren't in there.
They are normally up before you guys are awake.
Aren't up yet.
Yeah.
There's occasionally ones added, but they would generally be up before you guys are awake, assuming I have the page at the time. But generally they are. I know because I try to make sure they are when possible.
I'll have to start checking then.
Doesn't always happen, but I try. Then someone wants to know, do we think the fancier Lilymon evolution sequence is a sign of things to come or one-time thing since Mimi is best girl? I mean, it's not even that fancier than the first one, to be honest. It's just dynamic.
A slightly nicer transition.
It's dynamic to the episode, but it's not necessarily nicer than what they normally use for Lilymon. It's just more striking because we're not used to it. At least to me.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that they slightly adjust an evolution sequence. I mean, it's happened before. It's going to happen again.
Yeah.
Hopefully they get a nicer one for Anjouamon.
Yeah. Here's what it was. They had extra budget and they had extra time to fill, so we got something slightly nicer. That's probably what happened.
They had extra budget and they had extra time to fill. They couldn't have just, given the animators a day off and actually listened to what Mimi's talking about business ethics.
Well, that's where the evolution stuff comes in, where people they're filling up the show with evolution that could be spent on other things. No, it couldn't. If they're putting evolution scenes there, that means that's what they're filling the time with.
Yeah.
Their budget. Yeah. Then someone wanted to know, not including movies since we've talked to them, are there any small things you missed doing because of the Rona?
I think Dev mentioned it before, going to conventions. I don't know if that counts as a small thing. But...
I would say it is. I would say it does. I actually thought about this one because I kept wanting to say restaurants, but getting stuff delivered isn't super different, minus having to clean up yourself. So I was thinking about this, and go ahead. Okay,
I'm gonna push back on that a little bit because
I was gonna push back on it anyways.
Yeah, because that's actually kind of my answer, because I mean we've been doing delivery pretty consistently as well, but in the last couple of weeks circumstances have been such as they are, where we've had I've been out on days where we just need to get lunch and we don't really want to, it's a long drive home that we can't really do takeout. So we actually have been eating at restaurants a couple times, and we actually ate out this afternoon, and it's actually really nice.
No, absolutely.
As long as we take all the precautions and stuff, and we make sure that everyone's doing that. But it's nice to sit down and
my full answer actually was going to push back against what I said.
Okay.
Which is that for me at least, it's more about the food. Want to go get this.
Well, yeah.
So, but here's the thing. There's one thing that I actually really like.
It's definitely not the food because we went to Applebee's.
Oh, that really isn't the food. Great, you risk getting corona for Applebee's.
No,
so here's what I was gonna say.
The thing is, we made sure we were not risking it.
So one thing that I actually really like getting, great, cheap, cannot do it now at all because I really like Mongolian barbecue.
Oh yeah.
And I know most people would probably say Korean barbecue, but I just like, you put stuff in the bowl and they basically stir fry it on the big hot plate. I don't remember what the thing's called.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm suddenly getting really anxious for Hoo Hut.
Yeah, you get.
Are they okay?
And then you get some rice, you get the flatbread, and it's just really nice to sit there, talk with friends or family, and then you can go get more. And you can't do anything like that because if you like going to like a nice barbecue place, you can get that delivered. It's not the same experience, but it is the same food. You really can't do Mongolian at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you could do takeout, but I've never liked that for me.
Right. Like some of those places, it is about the experience.
Yeah.
Of watching the food prepared or
like if you want to do tepan, you 100% cannot do that right now.
Yeah.
Just 100% can't.
God, I miss conventions so much. Like, part of my depression nap was like I was having a really nice dream that I was at a convention with my friends and cosplaying, and I didn't want to wake up.
My convention replicated their convention center on Minecraft. It's really cool.
Oh.
They did it for their online con over the weekend.
So AR, your answer is food?
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with restaurants because we've been cheating more and more and enjoying it. So, but
yeah,
I do second Devs with conventions, absolutely.
I mean, it's pretty much like my major socialization for the year because usually I'm like working all the time, and it's like the one thing that that's on my calendar. It's like I get to see my friends because a lot of us live like a good distance apart, and we're also workaholics. So it's like we get a weekend, we dress up as fucking nerds, we run around completely out of our minds, we don't sleep, and we actually get to see each other.
Okay, and it's I'm the same way, and I'm generally pretty introverted, so this is like my chance to just get out and talk to people. So like all of my friends are in the convention scene, and so I haven't seen them in a year.
Yeah. And then kind of a follow-up to that, Ian asked, it was aimed at me and AR, if when in-person cons start again, would we think about doing a Digimon panel with the others of us as virtual co-hosts? I don't think that'd be fun, to be honest, because we do that every week. I think that it would have to be like, oh, AR's coming out for Anime Expo, and I would go, and then we would do something. I don't think there's any fun in doing it when...
Yeah, if one of us was on actually it would be a no for me simply because I'm in charge of panels at my primary convention, and I know the technological limitations of the hotel's Wi-Fi system and how
that's every panel.
Trying to patch in that sort of thing just sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yeah, but here's the thing, even if it worked, I don't think that'd be that fun because that's what we do every week anyways. I think there'd only be fun in it if we were actually in the room together, because otherwise it's just the normal show.
And also, we have an okay audience, but most people who go to my panels aren't familiar with me as a podcast host. Sometimes they're familiar with me as the Digimon panelist. Some have checked out my website. Like of all the people who go to my panels and listen to the podcast, I think I've met maybe like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I would. It's a different audience just because. Yeah. Because that's the thing. If someone wants to listen to us on the podcast, we're very easy to find.
Yeah. Although I will say that one of the guy who sent in the siblings question a couple of weeks ago is one of them. So.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, him. I know that. I know that guy. Yeah.
I don't even remember that question, to be honest.
Oh, the ranking the siblings between
okay.
train wrecks and And Dev and I were correct.
Yeah, very often the questions are anonymous, so I don't necessarily know who they are. And that's
it was anonymous, but he came forward on Tumblr.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. And then the last one, and here's the thing, I don't know if we've actually used the term. Someone said they don't understand what we mean when we talk about media literacy. Have we actually used the term media literacy, or did they just extrapolate from what we talk about?
I mean, it's kind of a part of what we talk about.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt it doesn't hurt to define it, because I know it's a conversation.
Yeah, this one's at the end on purpose. This one's at the end on purpose because we could either go quickly or not. When we talk, and this is not necessarily specific to us, media literacy in general means that you have not the education but the knowledge of how media works and how to criticize media. And when I say criticize, I don't mean being negative necessarily. I mean being able to talk about it with depth. And the other thing,
half of media literacy is knowing the difference. That, when we say criticism, we're not necessarily talking about tearing this thing to pieces. We're talking about breaking it down into certain elements to get at the why and hows and what's going on.
And here's the thing: I would generally say our weekly show is not where we do that. Overall,
no,
because here's the thing:
I go into it a little bit in the blog. Like, that's something
we go into.
You talk about when you talk about, when I talk about the show here, it's sometimes different than how I talk about it on the blog.
It's because here's the thing: if you get rid of the opening and ending and preview, we're basically talking about a 20-minute show, and we're not going to spend an hour breaking it apart, which we could, but we want to have fun.
Another point.
It would just feel like more work.
Yeah. Sorry. And another point I want to make is that it's a big difference between the way I'm approaching this series on the blog between the way I'd approach other older series where there is more, value in breaking down the various elements. Like with Adventure and 02 and Tamers in particular, there's a lot more to talk about beyond just whether it's good or not.
Here, we're mostly getting action or comedy, and it is possible to talk about that, but we're not.
There are fewer thematic elements to break down, and so we sort of have to resort to whether it's good or not.
Our example sort of works best for, I'd say the most recent one was probably Kizuna. And even then, we only talked about it for so much because we were running heavily over time on that one.
And also it helps because Jeff is really good with critical analysis as well. So, that having him on, it's like you're also, him and I can go on forever about thematic issues.
All four of us could have gone on forever. I mean, I believe we planned to do 90 minutes, and I think after 2.5 hours, we finally just had to go, we need to stop now. Because
I mean, that's not because Kizuna was good, but because there was a lot of stuff to break down, to talk about thematically.
Yeah, so it is basically having a base of knowledge to be able to discuss things beyond just going good, bad, or why is it good? Why do we like Mimi here? We like Mimi and Try, and like Mimi and Adventure, but you don't often talk about Mimi and Adventure. You do, but we talk about Mimi here and Try more. Try especially.
I could go on for a long time about liking Mimi differently here than I liked her in Adventure, and which I think I kind of touched on in my blog.
And at times it also has to do with
I think you're even kind of overcomplicating things. It's like just getting at an understanding of why this thing was made and a general idea of what it's about beyond a plot summary. What is the message they're trying to send with this movie or any sort of media, and just having an ability to think about that more than what happened and is it good or not.
Yes, and it can get weird because sometimes, in theory, if something's good, you're going to disagree with the people who made it in some fashion. Like,
potentially.
But it even gets stranger when you hear the people who made it don't even agree. Like, and the one that people tend to talk about is Blade Runner.
Yeah.
If you talk to the director, the writers, and the actor, they all disagree about what the ending means.
Mm-hmm.
The person who's in charge of it disagrees from the person who had to act it, disagrees from the people who actually wrote it and know what they meant it to mean, in theory. Because they're all putting their own interpretation, and all of those matter, and potentially none of them matter.
Yeah, but media literacy is not necessarily knowing which one's right so much as understanding how all of those pieces fit together into what you're watching, and you being able to draw
interpret
your
them
own
for yourself.
You being able to form your own opinion on who you think is.
Okay, here's a
going on.
Here's a good one, and I'm gonna ask the question, and then you have to answer. I'm not gonna give any of my interpretation before you answer. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
How does Inception end?
Oh yeah.
That's a big, obvious, easy one that people all interpret the movie for their own and come up with what is happening at the end.
Ultimately, media literacy is understanding that is supposed to be a debate.
Yes. But it being a debate does still mean that you theoretically have to draw a conclusion. So
yeah.
So Dev, what would your conclusion be for the end of Inception? Because that's one of the few Christopher Nolan things where I generally
I haven't seen it either.
Okay, I will skip going over the ending then, just because maybe
I know
other people have...
But that's one of those things where cultural osmosis has sort of suggested, but yeah.
Yeah, but
I know the top. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the type of thing where you're not.
I've read plenty about that.
I think it's a good example though, because most people will just look around that scene. In theory, you're supposed to be interpreting everything the movie has told you, shown you, to come up with something for yourself without actually knowing if the answer is right, or even if there is a real answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that gets into ignoring maybe what you know about the production of the movie, where there may have been an answer at one point. But overall, we're basically just talking about what you know about media. Like,
that reminds me of Bird Box, where it's just like, yeah, we did make a model of what the monster looked like, but the actors just burst out laughing at it, so we decided to leave it ambiguous.
Yeah. Or you know what a good example is? Where most people watching Adventure this week thought Blastmon was going to show up. Because they generally know the idea of how the characters look. The idea of him eating to get stronger has been something that Adventure has shown us. It's not a hard conclusion to draw watching the show that he might have shown up.
Especially with, like I mentioned earlier, it's like you would expect, like, oh, an evolution sequence is going to show up.
I think that's a little beyond
media
literacy and more into expectations.
Well, I'm giving my example is more the expectation based on the literacy you have of how the show works.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Literacy is telling you that maybe this is something that you should expect.
Because
I mean, that's something involving media literacy is also involving the idea of foreshadowing.
Yes.
And just understanding those concepts, or even having a vague idea of symbolism.
Yeah. A lot of people have issues with symbolism.
Well, yeah, and symbolism doesn't always have to be, necessarily concrete, and symbolism works best when it is a little bit subliminal.
Yeah. Well, it's like a good example this week, and we saw in the chat where a few people are going, well, people are saying that Rosamond shows up in silhouette somewhere.
Right, I read that.
And if you look, she absolutely does not. But people are their brains tell them that the show's done it for multiple characters.
Mm-hmm.
And Lilymon's coming back after not seeing her for a while, and we get crazy energy.
Yeah.
And you see a flower appear, not out of nowhere, but basically. And to many people's minds, because based on their expectation of what they know the show does, that was Lilymon's head.
Yeah.
And it 100% was not, but I understand why people saw it.
Yeah, like that's a literate conclusion to reach, even if it's not necessarily the correct one. Like I'm not going to fault someone for.
Oh no, I'm not faulting anyone either. I'm just saying it 100%. There's nothing that I saw of Rosamond here.
There's sort of a vague
It's
subliminal allusion to it.
no,
Perhaps,
see,
but
I'd say it's
I don't even know
more.
if it was. I don't think it was like an intentional
I'd
one,
say
but
it's more akin to Lilymon's normal canon just being larger. It
yeah,
certain it
Lilymon's pretty.
it's
Yeah,
it,
it's like
Achoo!
it
she's
certainly
just very
wasn't like the
flowery
rose. It
herself.
wasn't the rose shape we tend to get with Rosemon. It was basically Lilymon's canon turning into a tree.
Also, when they tease ultimate forms, they're really super obvious about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. They haven't. They didn't hide Hercules Kabuterimon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or multiple times of War Greymon.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So
which I think again goes to tell you that Adventure, this series doesn't have quite as much to break
no,
down
and
critically as much as other seasons.
no, I would agree with that. So I think that's it for questions. AR, how did your various things in the last week go? That because the list was up, which we posted, but I believe you had your virtual convention.
I didn't actually do anything with that. It was a lot of other people on the team. I'm my job with that convention is facilities, which means I relate to the actual convention center
so
and the
you did nothing.
hotels, and so I did absolutely nothing. I didn't participate in the virtual con at all because I don't really get a lot out of virtual conventions. I prefer the in-person experience, but I'm glad people had a good time. The convention went very well. So it
Okay,
was a
good.
very enjoyable experience for those who participated, and the staff put in a lot of good work, and good for everybody.
Okay. Anything coming up in the next week for you?
Not that I can think of. I'm getting a new couch in a couple days.
Fancy.
Ooh.
What features does it have, AR?
I can't think of any of the specific features the couch has, but the coffee table has a nice thing where there's stools under it that you can pull out and have a little extra like use them like an ottoman or something.
Okay.
Happy about that.
I want a Kotatsu.
It's not a kotatsu, sadly.
Dev,
I'm in Wisconsin. I need a kotatsu.
Dev, what on Wikimon would you like people to read this week?
The Digivice 01 article, because it's kind of the first time that a Digivice was kind of like a watch. So, kind of relates to the Vital Bracelet a bit.
Yeah, Vital.
And it's the second Digivice introduced.
Yep.
Dev knows why I'm laughing. AR, I assume, probably does also. I can be found at With the Will as always. We will see what pops up because we have there's various streams popping up because the 6th is the Kizuna stream, which is next week. The 12th, which is a week and a half, we have the Diginavi, so we'll see what pops up there. And I just remembered what part of my 5% was. Damn, I forgot it when it was gonna be helpful. I was gonna say they would announce it to be an announcement at DigiFest this year.
Oh,
was that they would announce
making an announcement that there would be a DigiFest this
yes,
year.
and that they would be announcing something there.
Oh, yeah. I'd give that way higher than 5%.
Well, no, it's in my other, is what I mean.
Yeah, but your other was only 5%, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm comfortable with that with my 50% that they're just gonna go movie. Or otherwise hint at the movie so strongly that it's functionally the same thing.
Yeah, the announcement of the next DigiFest was like 20% for me, right? We're just shot up right there.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so we will see what pops up because we'll have another episode before then, anyways.
Yeah, although I'm really glad that they're not that's only in a couple of weeks. We don't have to wait for a month to.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting to see if it will be geolocked or not, because generally for like the news things, they like giving us access whether it's subtitled or not. So this one's a bit weirder because like, do you geolock it or do you sub? But they've also said the commentary part will not be archived, but the announcement thing they've left out of that. So that's also where it gets interesting, where they've made clear the commentary is not going to stay up, but they specifically say the commentary won't be staying up. Yeah. So we'll see.
I feel like I'd enjoy watching it. I just don't know if I'm gonna. I can't invest a night of no sleep to do that.
Yeah, we'll see what pops up though. So we will catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.